Okay, good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes, sir.
Vice Mayor Mervin. I call this workshop of the Pahokee City Commission of Tuesday, November the 26th, 2019, to order at 6:05 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation given by Pastor Ronna Baptiste, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you today, and we thank you this evening for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for wisdom and understanding. We thank you for knowledge. Guide us in our decisions, guide us in our speech, and guide us as we run city business tonight. We thank you for all that you have done for us and all that you are going to do for us. The prosperity that shall come this city's way. We thank you, dear God, and we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mary Babb,
Present.
Commissioner Boland,
Present.
Commissioner Everett, Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Here.
City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff, and thank each of y'all for being here tonight to participate in our workshop of Tuesday, November the 26th, 2019. At this time, I'll turn this portion over to our City Manager to guide us in the topic discussion of tonight's agenda. And the purpose of the workshop tonight is the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission, residents, visitors, thanks for coming out tonight. Mayor, got a short agenda. You have two resolutions, 2019-52 and 2019-53. Those two resolutions, both are involving our resurfacing of roads. Been a couple of years since we've completed some resurfacing in the city of Pahokee. This is prior funds that was allocated to the Glade City several years ago, so that we'll continue to draw down those funds. We have a timeline to complete some of those resurfacing between now and 2021, I believe. And so we're getting near to start resurfacing phase 3, a couple of roads. And the benefit about phase 3 is when we previously had phase 3 roads listed, a lot of those roads were Glade Citizens Villa. I guess at the time no one had the forethought to think that we would get funding in a different funding stream for Glade Citizens Villa, and we did. And so about probably 70% of that phase 3 has been taken care of now because Glade Citizen funding in a different funding. I mean, Glade Citizen Village was funded under a different department from the state, so that's good news. But we had about 3 or 4 roads that were left on that list that we have to do. So that'll be a much smaller phase 3 resurfacing project. And then phase 4, I think there's about 6 or 7 remaining streets in phase 4. And so that's 2019-52 and 2019-53. And that's just a codifying what we've already agreed to. This is not new. And we're sending it back to FDOT and letting them know that we're in a preparatory stage to begin developing our bids and developing our final scopes of work. So when the bid goes out, we'll be in the proper position to begin the work. So these are not new projects. They've been on the books for quite some time. We're just getting to them now administratively to start the preparation for bids.
Could you share with us the roads that's going to be paved on the
Phase
3 and 4?
Phase 3 is most of Shive Island in that area. The main road, I think that we consider that Shive, I think that's considered 7th Avenue, am I correct? So that entire road, and then all of the connecting streets going into Shive Island. It's about 4 remaining streets on phase 3. Phase 4, I don't want to get this wrong because I think it goes back into the ABC streets and some of the side streets off of South Lake Boulevard, the ones that we didn't complete, the ones that we didn't finish after 2017. I don't have those. I think one's Daniel on the other side of Amaryllis, 3rd Street on the other side of South Lake. I think it's 2nd Street. No, Adams, I believe, on the other side of Amaryllis. We've done Amaryllis. I think MLK is also in phase 4 as well. That's on both sides of South Lake. Again, I don't have the list in front of me,
Okay.
so I don't want to misquote myself, but I think that's about accurate thus far.
Okay.
And that will be a full, I think they're allocating, the allocation is usually $200,000. Resurfacing, because they're not rebuilding the street, they may do it in patches. They typically only allocate about $190,000 to $200,000. And typically you can get 6 to 7 streets under that format and get it done for that amount. They don't allocate more than that for glaze resurfacing per phase. But I'll get a more succinct list for you, so you'll have it for your record.
Okay.
Excuse me, but is there a way to get I think it's Carissa and 4th? When you come down off of 4th onto Carissa, there's like a hole that you could lose a Volkswagen in.
Okay. I don't know if Carissa's on phase 4. If not, if that's an area we can patch, in the meantime, we could kind of, let them know that there's an area we need them to address if they have some extra yardage of asphalt. So I can, notate that and
Okay.
remember that if there's some areas like that, because we know we got a lot of streets that we won't address in phase 3 or 4, but there's some patches that we can do, we can address.
That one's really bad right there, so, yeah,
Well,
thank you.
Before we move on from paving, McClure, I know we redirected the funds from McClure to Barfield, which is definitely
Correct.
needed, but I didn't see McClure in any of our legislative priority. When are we going after funding for that?
Because McClure is under the definition like Barfield Highway, one of those extreme terror projects and rebuilds, it falls under SCOP. And the SCOP application comes out every February and it's due in March, and then they make a decision around in April, May. But once again, this year, they didn't fund McClure, even though they made that promise to us when they switched that they would. They never went back and switched the funding and gave us money. So we'll go back and apply for McClure again in 2020 under SCOP. You can't apply for it under the glaze resurfacing because they only give you $200,000, per project. And just like Barfield, McClure is about a $2.8 to $3 million project within itself. Now, in saying that, there are parts of McClure that's more agricultural use. And what we're going to do is probably shave back some of the yardage on McClure up until it gets to the end of the residential. And that should significantly reduce the cost for all pedestrian and residential traffic. Because as you know, those trucks and those tractors go off from McClure and they go onto a more gravel type road going into the agricultural fields. And so we're going to shave back a lot of the yardage on this project, and that should help us with the application package. Instead of asking for 3.2 million, we'll probably ask for maybe 1.9, to 2 million. That should significantly help us because they only allocate so many millions of dollars because the small county outreach project is spread among the entire state. So we're competing with other small cities for these dollars as well. And we don't know how long that's going to last as well. The glaze the glaze resurfacing will sunset probably in another year or two after that. 2024, because it was a 10-year funding stream for the glaze. SCOP is ongoing, but you just don't know. They may fund $5 million for the entire year for the entire state, or they may fund $15 million, in the budget for this year. So you just don't know how that would play out. And then you're competing against other cities. But we're going to lean on the fact that they did fund it before, They did switch the funding to Barfield because it was more critical, and we're also going to shave the yardage on this street, and hopefully that will help us. Along with, of course, when we visit Tallahassee coming up, we'll go to FDOT, we'll have that conversation with the FDOT Chief of Staff and the Secretary, and we'll express to them again, before that SCOP application is due, the critical need for McClure in January of 2020 as well.
And lastly, dealing with paving and repaving Royden Avenue, what's our timeline for requesting funding to address that road?
Roden is another SCOP type project. We probably could get away with just resurfacing because it's a good street. It has some rough areas, but what it doesn't have is what Barfield has. It has a good foundation. It's just a very old road with some rough patches, but it's a fairly decent street. We most likely can get away with just resurfacing Roden, a good resurfacing, and patching in some areas versus a complete SCOP tear-up type project that costs $2.3 million. Because if you put it on the SCOP, you're going to push it back 5 years because we're trying to get the money from McClure right now. And as you know, it takes 2 years post-award just to get these projects off the shelf. So, you know, I think it'd be more fair that we look at a resurfacing for Roden because it's a stronger street. It's a flat street that doesn't have too many potholes, if any at all, just some dips here and there that a resurfacing could easily fix, and some patching here and there.
Can I ask, this says amendment number 2 on these, and there's no attachment as to what amendment number 1 was, since it was done before I took office.
We're shouldn't be attached, but what we're amending, Commissioner Boland, is the dates. When we originally approved these projects, they had a certain timeline to get started. And just due to attrition in administrative with FDOT, with the district office, Tallahassee, these projects we're amending the dates. And we also are amending the actual number of streets that we're addressing as well. So we're just changing the dates, not the cost per se, but we are amending the cost as well, because they got to go back and do a new scope, because we did Glaze Citizens Villa with some different funding streams. So we'll get a new scope, and that'll be added to this amendment. But we're just changing the dates so we can align the new dates with what was expected out of Tallahassee.
And the new scope will come back to us for approval?
Yeah. Well, no, the scope just goes to FDOT and says it's going to cost you versus $200,000 to resurface 8 streets. We're now doing 4 streets, so the scope is now $80,000, and then we'll develop that into a bid. But that's informational purposes that needs to come back to the commission as well. But it won't be a new amendment because we never decided what the cost was initially. We don't know that until the bid comes out. They just give us a flat rate of what they'll allocate, and most of the time, most bids come in about 190 on these resurfacing projects, what I've seen. Maybe an inch up to $200,000. But for the most part, we'll bring that back to you once we get the final scope.
Okay, but moving forward, when something references another amendment, could we have that as an attachment as well?
Sure, yes, ma'am.
And then they're advancing us the money to do this?
No.
Okay, it says
No, they don't.
alternative
No,
advance
they-
payment.
No, they're not advancing us any money. How that works is a invoicing / wait type pay. Once we get the money into our account, we then pay the contractor. So no advancing on this project. What they try to do, what FDOT tried to do with smaller cities with meager budgets, we have 25 days to pay a contractor, and they know that. So once a contractor initiates his project and an invoice finally comes in, we immediately send that invoice for approval to FDOT. They immediately send it up to Tallahassee to process an electronic check to us so we can pay that contractor. That typically takes 2 to 3 weeks, and we hit that 25-day mark, you know, just where we want to without, you know, being late with payments. So no, it's not advanced funds.
Okay, my concern is that I know
They call it advanced
with one of
funds,
them they
but-
had, but one of them they had so many days you had to pay within, and if we didn't pay, it cost us so much a day, and then we
Yes.
got a bill for it.
Yes, that's because we
Right.
were late paying a change order, and they started, we had a disagreement about the change order, and they started charging us, from their perspective, late fees, and of course I think that one ended up settling out of court for a lesser amount, but FDOT noticed that, and that was one of my concerns when Tallahassee is late with electronic payment, our contract is waiting to get paid, and now they're charging us late fees. We did some changes in the language of how we process our invoices that we'll be able to avoid this moving forward.
Okay.
That was one of the concerns I had, and I don't want to call it a contractor, but the experience that I had with that particular contract, I don't want to go through again, waiting on an electronic check. So FDOT was very sensitive to that, and they made some changes in their processes so we can avoid that with these two projects moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Subsequently, Barfield Highway is moving really well, and that's a $1.2 million project, and the engineer, we're paying him on time. Now I got to get him to put that bid on the street between now and the end of January so we can get that project started.
Are they going to have any public meetings as to how
Yes.
that road's going to be? Do we
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
date for that yet?
Not yet. That'll
Okay.
come out as soon as we get the bid out and a bid is awarded, then the contractor, the engineer, they'll host a quick meeting for those residents on Barfield to let them know the traffic patterns.
Okay, thank you.
And now we have a resolution 2019-54 that is a rezoning designation for property 2812 East Main Street, Pahokee. And the city attorney will be guiding us in that hearing on 2019-54. Mayor, Mayor, Commissioner, I have no additional information on Barfield. As I said, we're 100% plans. They're developed. We've directed our engineer to help us develop a bid. There's no date on when that bid will be released. The gymnasium, they are now, the county is now working with the contractors to decide who they're going to award the contract to. I think they're doing like a sole source type of deal here. So we're out of the loop, not out of the loop, but we don't control that process with the county. But they strongly feel they can get started by February, and it'll be a 6 to 7 month project. They're now currently looking for some office space in one of the rooms around here for the contractor that will be awarded the project. So we're hoping February, and that's what they told us. You know, we didn't agree with that, but it's December, so it'll be February once they get that project up and moving. So we'll be looking forward to that sooner than later. The old hospital, we've had some really great conversations with the housing developer. He's seeking just a little bit more information on the original plans. I delivered those to him. He wants to provide myself and the city attorney a draft agreement so we can kind of filter through it and look at how the sales agreement, you know, aligns for us and make sure everything is in its proper order. We probably won't look at that sales agreement until after the holiday. We may get a draft before then in our mailboxes, so we'll have some chance to sort of filter through that. The 35 acres, I met with one housing group here locally and about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I had several inquiries that I wanted to get answered for me and for the city. Had a lot to do with their capabilities for fiscal ability to purchase a property, build homes, timeline, etc. And I notated all those things in my notes. I haven't put it into a presentation yet to sort of pass it over to the city attorney so we can have our conversation. But you got more entities that are showing interest as well in this property. So we need to continue vetting, you know, all opportunities that are coming to us. There's one that is looking at several properties in Pahokee, an investment company out of Fort Lauderdale that I've just been in some draft conversations with. Nothing, you know, definitive. They have an interest in investing in Pahokee, and so we have to listen. and provide our best advice to the mayor and commission on which way to go on all of our properties in the city of Pahokee. Speaking of properties, we donated 3 properties to Habitat for Humanity, which is great for the city of Pahokee. You know, you get 3 new homes here. But one of the lots we all decided wasn't feasible to build on, and it had a lot to do with the sharing of the lot space now with the current owner on the property adjacent to this property that was donated. We ultimately decided, along with Habitat for Humanity, it just wasn't a buildable lot. We found another lot they like, so we're gonna come back and we're just gonna switch that lot out for a different lot. And we'll bring that back, so we'll have to revise that resolution to notate that change. And they were fine with that. They just needed the commitment from us so they can move forward with their funding, so they can secure their funding for housing. So, but we both realized that the lot was just not buildable based on some of the legalities that were connected to it and how the lot was designed. A lot of due diligence wasn't conducted on this particular lot. And so we both decided, let's just switch out the lot and let's choose another one. So we'll come back and we'll revise that for you. But it doesn't slow them down with their projects for 3 homes being built in the city of Pahokee, and that's a great thing. Oh, one final, we're looking at the Old Pahokee High School for a project. I really can't get ahead of myself, and I'm a little excited about it, but I have to just be very diligent in the conversation that's happening with the developer who's interested in transforming this historical site. So I can't get ahead of myself. I just have to be very diligent and just have some conversations about what they want to do with this Old Pahokee High School. But I just want to let you know I'm in conversations with a developer for the Old Pahokee High School. As most of you are aware, we did a facelift to the Old Pahokee High School. We painted it, we sealed it up, cleaned it up as much as possible to make it presentable to the public. It looks good, but it could be very useful for the city of Pahokee. And so those conversations are ongoing, and I'm kind of lean on this particular developer to see what type of funding opportunities that he can present for his company to do this project for us. But again, the options are a museum, new city hall, which is sorely needed, slash museum, slash something else. We're going to lean on some federal funds because it's categorized as a national historic place. We can lean on that for some dollars from the federal government, you know, significantly. So again, that's a ongoing conversation. I don't want to get ahead of myself. It'll be exciting to see a new city hall here in the city of Pahokee because it's badly needed, but those conversations are just new right now.
Let me ask you, before you do get ahead of yourself, have you kind of passed this over to the city attorney to make sure that whatever conversation you're engaging in, that at some point we don't have to actually go out for an RFP? I know we're talking to directly with one developer, but for instance, if you are planning on doing something that requires possibly an RFP.
The only RFP part would be who you, if funding becomes available through some type of federal opportunity, who do you want to, the RFP would be who you award the contract to actually renovate. That would be the legal part that we would pay attention to. But as far as someone want to go out and find free money for the city of Pahokee, there's no legal ramifications to that. I say go have at it. I really appreciate the support. And that's sort of where we are. He's seeking money federally that can renovate this facility. And if that's secured, the legal part about that is an RFP to awarding a contractor to do the renovations. So we're not even there yet.
So you're talking about he's going to do that for free? He's not going to get a piece of the building?
Oh, I'm sure if he's, again, I really don't want to get ahead of myself, but typically, these type of federal investors that are preferred vendors of the federal government, you know, they have their costs built in. It won't be something that's on the name of the city of Pahokee. They'll just utilize us as a vehicle to secure the dollars. But I assure you, their revenue is built into whatever grant they go after specifically on the behalf of the city of Pahokee. Yeah, so they'll find profit there somewhere in that funding. Same thing with the old hospital. They'll find their funding. They'll find their revenue profit in there within that grant. Yeah. A lot of moving parts, but it's just good conversation to have right now. A lot of things to talk about, you know, legally, about what we need to do as far as moving forward. Again,
Okay,
new conversation.
Yeah, I just don't want you to get ahead of yourself to a point where if there is a legal question that we need to be asking or sharing with the city attorney, we should be doing that.
Yeah.
Not going off from A to Z, but at least let him know basically what you're doing and make sure we got proper legal guidance on what you're doing.
That's it for me. I
Okay.
don't know if you want to workshop any of that, or I think we can
No, we're
workshop
good.
it.
Time has expired. What we're going to do is adjourn our workshop and reconvene for our regular city commission meeting in 2 minutes. Thank you. Get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and
No, I know.
get started. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yeah, I don't think so either. Oh, well.
We're going to go ahead and get started. City Attorney, you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner
Yes,
Hill,
sir.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin. I call this City Commission of the City of Pahokee regular commission meeting of Tuesday, November the 26th, 2019, to order at 6:39 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation given by Vice Mayor Mervin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, God, in the name of Jesus, God, we come before you, God, to say thank you. Thank you, God, for another day, God, that you have allowed us to see and be a part of. Father God, as we come together, God, to conduct city business, oh God, we ask you for your leadership, God. We ask you for your guidance. We ask you, oh God, to be with us, oh God, in this meeting tonight. And God, we give your name the praise, the honor, and the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Boland,
Here.
Commissioner Everett,
Present.
Commissioner Hill,
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Here.
City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff, and thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our City Commission regular commission meeting of Tuesday, November 26, 2019. We'll now move to our agenda, beginning with the addition, deletions, approval of agenda items.
Currently, Mayor, no additions, deletions for the agenda tonight.
Thank you, sir. Citizen comments, public service announcement. Must have a comment card completed. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any comments cards completed?
Yes, sir. The first person is Mr. Kareem Murray.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
There are some issues with the city that are plaguing the city, and I had to do my research on Florida statutes to see what me as a citizen can do about these things. And fortunately for me, I learned there's a lot. We need to get a hierarchy of the municipal government. Everyone needs to understand and know who they are, what their job is, who's the boss, who runs everything, and who do they listen to. We already know that the mayor is the executive of the city, so everyone is supposed to fall up under that. You know, the statute is set that way. You're the commission, you should already know the statute or have it. I would ask for a copy of certificates from all the elected officials. There's an annual ethics training for municipal elected officials. We would like to see those. Town hall meeting. I had spoken to several of you on the commission several weeks ago, maybe in a month or so ago, about the town hall meeting. We need this town hall meeting. The dike, when you make the right, when you go at the top of the dike to make the right, that gate is still up there. Even though there is not a lock, there is a chain there. People go around it. That's unsafe. That needs to be fixed. Whatever issue that's causing no one to go through that gate, I would ask that you, the mayor, or the city commission, make the city manager do his job, okay? All these things need to be corrected within 2 weeks, or I will file the proper paperwork under Florida Statute 100.361, Florida Statute 116, Florida Statute 286, and Florida Statute 119. Not to mention, the copy of these certificates fall up under Statute 116, which is also Florida Statute 112, which governs it. So I ask that the commission, the higher-ups, the hierarchy, do their job and make everyone else do their job up under 2 weeks, or I will file the paperwork.
In addition to comments, cards.
Yes, sir. The next one is from Mr. Sam McKinstry.
I was gonna give my time to Mr. Ford, Mr. Murray, if he's good, I'm good.
Okay. The last person is Ms. Sharon Coven.
I was gonna do the same, so that's okay.
Okay. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Next, we don't have any approval of minutes, no consent agenda items, no ordinance. We do have two resolutions. Resolution 2019-52. City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving Amendment Number 2 to the Economic Development Transportation Project Fund Agreement between the City of Pahokee, Florida and the State of Florida Department of Transportation. Attached hereto is Exhibit A, authorizing the execution of the amendment agreement by the mayor, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. City Manager, could you give us a quick background on Resolution 2019-52?
Mayor, this is phase 3 for resurfacing for the city of Pahokee as spoken in the workshop. The remaining roads in Shive Island will fall under this resolution. We're making some amendments to actually the change of dates and start time for this project for 2020. That brings this resolution for codification in front of you today. This agreement was previously developed for the city of Pahokee, and we're just making some changes so we can get the project started in 2020 on a reasonable time frame that's acceptable to FDOT.
Thank you. City Commissioners haven't had Resolution 2019-52 properly read into the minutes. What's your pleasure?
Maybe I make a motion to accept Resolution 2019-52.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly moved by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of Resolution 2019-52. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-52 passes by unanimous vote. Now we move to Resolution 2019-53. City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving the state-funded grant supplemental agreement between the City of Pahokee, Florida and the State of Florida Department of Transportation. Attached hereto is Exhibit A, authorizing the execution of the agreement by the mayor, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. City Manager, at this time, could you give a brief explanation of Resolution 2019-53?
Yes, Mayor. Again, this is another project for the city of Pahokee on an agreement for glaze resurfacing in the city of Pahokee. Again, this is a formality codifying a previous resolution for fixing the roads in here in the city of Pahokee.
Thank you, sir. City Commissioners haven't had Resolution 2019-53 properly read into the minutes. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2019-53 for our consideration.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Commissioner Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2019-53. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Williamson, what roads in the city? Yeah, I missed the workshop, but what roads mentioned? I know you mentioned Shive Island.
Phase 3 is Shive Island. Phase 4 is, I don't have them all listed off the top of my head, but I know they're the western streets of South Lake, some of the ABC streets, MLK, I think Daniel on the western part to complete, connecting to Amaryllis, 3rd Avenue, I believe, that comes off of Rodden, going into the Church of God. And there's 2 more streets I'm missing, but I know some of those are very important to your area, specifically MLK Boulevards. But I'll get you a concise list for Phase 4, which is sometime a ways away from being started, but definitely in 2020.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-53 passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move, okay, we have a public hearing on Resolution 2019-54. At this time, we'll have the city attorney read it into the records and also give us an explanation on this resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you do have your planning staff here for the explanation, but just let the record reflect, if you will, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Commissioners, that this is a public hearing and a quasi-judicial hearing. Resolution number 2019-54, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving a change in zoning designation for the property located at 2812 East Main Street, Pahokee, Florida, from light industrial to general commercial, authorizing an update of the zoning map to reflect the same, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date. At this point, will planning staff come forward and also the applicant, and I will read the rules for the conducting the quasi-judicial hearing. All witnesses who testify on any item in this portion of the agenda will be sworn. Participants who are members of the general public need not be sworn and will not be subject to cross-examination if they are not sworn. However, the commission shall not assign unsworn testimony the same weight or credibility as sworn testimony in its deliberations. The applicant has the burden of proof. After the applicant's concluding remarks, the hearing will then be closed and no additional testimony or material argument will be allowed unless the commission chooses to request additional testimony. The commission will then deliberate. All evidence relied upon by reasonably prudent persons in the conduct of their affairs may be considered in these proceedings, regardless of whether such evidence would be admissible in court. Hearsay evidence may supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not alone support a conclusion unless it would be admissible over objection in court. The material in the commission agenda packets will be considered as evidence without authentication. And at this time, all witnesses who intend to give sworn testimony will be sworn in by the city clerk.
Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Would staff please describe the nature of this agenda item?
Yes, my name is Elisha Williams. Staff with contracted with CAP Government as the planner. This particular agenda item is, as read here in the resolution, is for property 218 East Main Street, Pahokee, Florida. They made a proposal to have their property rezoned, site-specific rezoned from light industrial to general commercial for them to use the property for church, synagogues, and houses of worship. This particular proposal went through, according to in the Code of Ordinance for the City of Pahokee, Section 14-27, subsection D. There's a standard of somewhat of a criteria, 10 different standards that the property must have met. After review during the initial hearing for the ZAP board or the ZAP hearing, we made a recommendation, CAP, that this property, we saw fit that it was okay for it to go forward, and we recommended that the City of Pahokee accept it and made a decision to move forward with the process for this property. Essentially, after further review of the comprehensive plan for the City of Pahokee, we found that the future land use does allow for this particular property and where it's located in its previous zone, and also under general commercial, for that area to be, that property to be used in that designation as a church, synagogue, or houses of worship.
Okay. At this time, will the applicant now come forward and state your name for the record?
My name is Ronald Batiste. I am the pastor of living by the word Christian fellowship.
Do you agree with the recommendations that's been made, and do you have anything else to add to the report that was made by staff?
I do agree, and I would like to, first of all, thank the commission and all those involved with reviewing the zoning change for our purposes. It is our pleasure and our great delight to be able to be a part of this community, not to come in and just be a placeholder, but we're coming to help this city prosper. I believe it is within the city's power and the community's power and the individuals that live in this city's power to be able to bring Pahokee to a level of not only what it once was, but greater. And that's what we seek to do, and to help not only other people live in the city, but other churches to be able to help to bring this city back to its former glory and even greater. So it's our pleasure and our great honor to be able to work in this community. We plan to come in and work and help this city be the shining light it should be in this state.
Do you have any witnesses who'd like to speak on this item here with you? And you don't have to have any, I'm just asking if you brought anyone who wants to speak. And if not, is there anyone in the audience who, this is a public hearing, who would like to speak on this item before it's turned over to the commission for deliberation? You can come up, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, everybody else. Just brief, I have a set of preliminary drawings if you care to look at them. If it'll make any difference to you, or if not, I'll just shut up and go sit down.
Yeah.
You good?
Is there something you'd like to put on the record? Anything you'd like to say other than leaving the item with commission?
I've worked closely with Pastor Ron since the conception of this.
Can you get to the, Jimmy, get to the mic.
I've worked closely with Pastor Ron since the inception of this, and I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to your community with his goals in mind. And you're looking at phase 1, and we've got visions in our head of phase 2 and 3 further down the road. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? At this, yes, sir.
Just for the record, I was letting the gentleman know to the left of me that the drawings and everything of that nature, the property will eventually have to go to a site plan review where those plans will be reviewed and, making sure the property is up to code. So,
All right.
So you will receive this, staff will review it and ensure that everything is done properly. At this time, if there's...
One last thing, plans you have now are really preliminary, will be more detailed in the site plan. Again, we come to not only to be a part of the community, but we want to build. And not only will we be a church, but we will be a place where people can come and learn how they can live life better, how they can do business better. I have a business degree, and it is my intent to use that information that I've learned and pass it on to someone else, that they may be able to prosper in this place, So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we will turn this item over to the commission. In all quasi-judicial hearings, all rulings must be based upon the evidence presented at the hearing in accordance with Section 286.01151 Florida statutes. Ex parte communications with city commissioners or board members in quasi-judicial matters is permissible. However, those matters must be disclosed. Has anyone had any communications with any of with the applicant or any representatives of the applicant? You have to disclose it right now. It is permissible, but you must disclose it.
Yeah, they were in, Jimmy was in my office a little while ago.
Anyone else? Okay. At this time, Mr. Mayor, we're turning this item over to the commission for deliberation.
I officially close the public hearing on Resolution 2019-54. City Commission, having had Resolution 2019-54 properly read into the minutes, properly had a public hearing, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2019-54.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of Resolution 2019-54. Call for questions.
One question, ma'am, maybe it's just a correction. I know when the staff read the address of, I'm saying he said 218, but for correction or for the minutes, that we can correct it, it's 2812 is the address. If I'm not mistaken, I think he said 218.
In additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-54 passed by unanimous vote. We have no proclamations, no presentations. We're now at the report of the mayor, which will be brief. I've had some initial conversation with the city manager and our community development director pertaining to our 100-year celebration, which will be held in 2022. I know it's a little early, but it is a big event for this city, and we're hoping to have a great celebration during that time. I know there have been some concerns with some residents or about the survival of the city charter being recalled. I can assure you that in 2022, not only will we survive, we will thrive. We're looking for a great event, and your participation is certainly welcome and encouraged during that time. We recently went to San Antonio, Texas for the annual city summit. It was a great event. There was over 4,000 delegates there, the majority of our commission, and along with our city manager team. There were some great workshops, great programs, great networking. Hopefully we can bring some of those ideas back to this city and begin implementing some of those ideas in there. And I would just like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Hope that you celebrate it with your family and friends, and a blessed holiday season to each and every one of you. Now we'll move to our city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I covered a lot of the updates in the workshop, so I'm going to be brief. We are coming to the end of this year, not the fiscal year, but just the calendar year. We've seen some successes in a few areas in the city of Pahokee. There's always so much more to do, so much more to improve on. You can always do things better, for sure. You can always, change a policy here or there or practice, correct mistakes from the past. Certainly, this year has probably been more challenging than others for myself as an administrator, and I think this is it's been the most challenging year for me professionally, because I've been in this business for quite some time in many different areas, and I've learned over the time that you can't please everybody, because if you do, you find yourself, eroding your own value system. As a city manager, first and foremost, we got a great staff here in the city of Pahokee. We built a great staff. We can always use more folks on that team, and I will continue to build a great team here for the city of Pahokee to represent you in all phases of public service. Some people look a different way when you hear that, but we can always improve. And it takes us working together to get to that improvement. And sometimes that improvement comes through a lot of conversation, a lot of differences, but the end product is what's important. Mayor, for me personally, been here a couple of years, and we've had some success, and it gets to a point where you have to reassess where you are as an administrator, and what your next mission should be here in the city of Pahokee or someplace else. So I'm at that stage, personally, professionally. So what this administration wants to do is, set a course that is definitive going into 2020 and the next 2 to 3 years. Really look at the comprehensive plan and decide what downtown redevelopment looks like, and put that into an actual packet where we can have that as a guide. We have some renderings, but we need to turn that in and revise our comprehensive plan in 2020. And we're supposed to do that every 7 to 8 years anyway. It's that time to do it again. And so that's one of my missions moving into the new year. Again, it's been challenging, specifically over the last 3 months, it's been challenging. If we have not, functioned to our level of expectation for some of you residents, it's not by intent that we're not. We've had to travel through a lot of hurdles and barriers that have been placed in front of us. And so we'll be doing a better job moving forward administratively. But there is some assessments professionally for me that's occurring to ensure that I'm in the right place for the city of Pahokee so we can be successful in the future. So appreciate all the support here this year. The residents, appreciate all your support. Again, we will improve as each month passes, and we will continue to build a city and community of choice here for Pahokee in Palm Beach County. Thank the organization that's coming here to this community to build a new structure. It's always good to build something new from the ground up here in the city of Pahokee, and hopefully that is the beginning of many, many other projects here in the city of Pahokee. Mayor, Commission, everyone be safe. Have a great holiday. Again, thank you for your support here in the city of Pahokee.
Thank you, City Manager. City Attorney report.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. We don't have any old business listed, no new business. We're now at the point where we have our future agenda items of the commissioners, if any, at this time.
You got old business, new business, Mayor.
Huh?
You have old business, new business.
It's not listed on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We'll start with Vice Mayor Mervin. Vice Mayor, do you have any items you would like to have listed on next commission meeting agenda?
No, sir, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Everett.
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Boland.
Yes, I'd like to add on at the next meeting, if we could, we should be setting a date for the city manager's assessment and then for his contract negotiations. I believe we're supposed to do the assessment like in January and contract in March.
Yeah, we actually have done the evaluation of the city manager. Was done prior to your election, so it's an annual evaluation that's been done internally.
Right, I'm talking about
The
Contract.
part of it.
We're going to try to, hopefully, with the city attorney, we're going to try to have something maybe for the next meeting. If we can get through some conversations, we may have something ready for the next commission meeting, but I need to have some more fluid conversations with the city attorney on how that new contract will look. And if it's ready for the next commission meeting, we'll have it on the agenda.
But wasn't that assessment done for the year prior? Because
No, we're talking about the actual contract now. We're not talking about the evaluation. We're talking about
I know, but
developing a new
I'm
contract.
talking about the assessment for this year, for 2019. Because there wasn't an assessment done for 2019, there was
No, you
one
mean
done for 2018.
No, you mean 2018, 2019. My contract evaluation year runs from April to April. So you're talking 2018 to 2019, and that was the evaluation part was completed later in the summer of this year. And then for many, many other variables, we never got to contract, salary, never got to those conversations.
Right, I know, but I'm trying to get us back on track. It's supposed to be, the assessment is supposed to be done in January, and then the contract is done.
There's no assessment in January. It's always my anniversary date, which is April of each year. That's
Right,
when-
but if you wait, I'm confused. If
you
you
have
wait
to
to
go
do
after
the
the-
assessment, then
No.
how do you negotiate the contract? The contract then doesn't get negotiated until way
No,
past
we're-
the date.
No, typically, an assessment of the contract is the annual anniversary date, which is April for me. It could be June, July, August for other city managers, but it's always April. And then thereafter, there's a contract or an amendment to the contract offered. It was just never offered for several months. So we're actually, 6 or 7 months behind post-evaluation. In fact, in 4 more months, you'll be doing the 2019-2020 evaluation.
That's
for
what
me.
I'm talking
So-
about.
Right.
That's going to be done in April.
But that'll be done in April for this year that's
You do it
wrapping
at
up.
the same time that the contract becomes due.
No, the
I'm
two
confused.
Yeah, the two really, I mean, if.
You should
if-
do one and then get it together, and, because it took months to get that together last time, right?
Okay, the evaluation has been done. Now, the contract is actually up to the city manager to present. He can wait if he want to, that's fine, that's up to him. He's rarely operating without an active or current contract.
Right.
Which a contract is to benefit him as to have some negotiation as far as his compensation and things of that line. So that's on his court.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the evaluation and the contract that you're talking about was for 2018, 2019. And now we're in 2019, 2020.
No, it doesn't-
Correct?
Not in
No, it doesn't work like
2019,
that.
2020, that's April. We're still in the
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, but
2018,
every
19.
corporation I ever worked at, if you had a contract that was coming due in April, you didn't wait till April to do the evaluation. You did it a couple of months ahead so that when April came,
That's not-
you
that's
you
not how
could
city
negotiate the
manager
contract.
That's not how city manager contracts typically operate.
Okay?
It's usually right at that anniversary date, post, 15, 20 days. But unfortunately, the evaluation was completed, around May or June, and then we just, as a city manager, I just have not brought a new contract to the city commission because we've had so many other variables on the agenda. I just kind of stepped away from it until an appropriate time. That's not traditional. City managers want their contracts done, discussed, and over with, post 30, 60 days out from the evaluation date.
Yeah.
So it's rather been a benefit to the city that I haven't even talked about it. But we'll work on something with the city attorney. And
So can we at least finish up last year's?
Mr. Mayor, normally what happens under future agenda items, the item is brought up just in a kind of a vague sense. I want to talk about the city manager's contract, and then if there are 3 votes, including the commissioner making the motion, but you don't have the discussion at this meeting for the next meeting. So you're under future agenda items right now, and I know this is the first time, so just.
Thank you.
Commissioners, Commissioner Bolden has requested that we add the city manager contract discussion on our next agenda. Are there any seconds?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Bolden and properly second by Commissioner Everett that we add the city manager contract to our next agenda as an agenda item. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. The item passes by unanimous vote.
Mr. Mayor, I know we need to save all conversations regarding future items whilst Mrs. Bowlin was talking, I think it would be appropriate if we at least have update or something with regards to the progress with Marina and contract agreement.
So that's a request to add that to the agenda item?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If that's okay.
You will need a second for that.
Second.
Mayor, point of order. I know we're at the end of the agenda, but if there are no new conversations on the 3 leases, it's going to the governor and cabinet on December 3rd. So by the time we get to the next commission meeting, a decision will be made in Tallahassee. So just FYI, by the time you come to the next commission meeting, that will be voted on in Tallahassee, yay, nay, however they want to go with that agreement. So
Okay.
by next commission meeting, you'll either have a new sublease manager or you will not, because it's December 3rd. And they have been in touch with me, just asking if there are any changes, et cetera, et cetera. I said, not
Okay.
yet. You know,
Gotcha.
something different happens.
Okay. That would be the update.
That's the,
If it's on the agenda, that will be, at that time, that will be considered the update. The agenda has been, item has been
Yeah.
voted on.
They're
by the
at their
cabinet,
final
up and down.
package preparation now.
Okay.
And they're just, you know, they're actually tuning in tonight, so.
Okay. We have had a motion by Commissioner Everett for an update
Well,
of the.
we can withdraw that.
Okay, great. Moving forward. Commissioner Hill, any agenda items you'd like to see added to our next agenda?
Town hall meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Hill that we have a town hall meeting added to our next agenda, and probably second by Commissioner Bolden. Call for questions. Hearing none.
Yes, what it would be in reference to exactly.
We need to set, actually, I don't know how that would go, but dates, topics, I don't know.
Town hall, you don't need a topic, you just let them
No, I know,
talk,
just
right?
at least a date. We need to set.
A
we just
date,
want- Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying, set a date. An official date. We need to go ahead and set a date. That's my thing. The other stuff we can deal with later, but we need to set a date. You shouldn't.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
No.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. The motion to have added to the agenda town hall meeting was approved by a majority of 4-1 vote. And just like to add one item, request of an item, the financial report, both written and verbal, at our next commission meeting as agenda item.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by myself as the mayor and properly second by Commissioner Bolden that we add our financial report to our next agenda. Call for questions.
Yes, will we make it available for the general public?
Yes, there should be copies available for the public.
Put it on.
That's what I was speaking directly to, not saying that we were trying to, attempt to withhold, but just have copies. I guess I lack specificity. Just have copies available to residents as they come in.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The request to add a financial report to our agenda, next agenda, has been approved by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to the for the good of the order, community events, feel-good announcements, etc. And we'll start with Commissioner Hill if she has any comments pertaining to those feel-good items.
Why you start with me all the time?
No, I don't be switching back and forth.
No, I just want to tell everyone happy Thanksgiving and wish you a nice Thanksgiving.
That's a feel-good item.
Yeah.
Eat plenty of turkey,
Yeah,
dressing,
I'm
and
sure they will.
watch your weight. Commissioner Boland.
I do have one. I'm happy to say that I did see a correction in the Lake Okeechobee News that corrected what we were talking about at the last time, where Mr. Miller was one of the partners of ELH. So I'm happy to say that they did not lead us down the garden path. And I have a copy of the correction here that says he is no longer a partner, which I think is basically what they were trying to tell us that night. So I'm happy to say that. I also want to say that I want to thank everyone for sending us to San Antonio, because that was unbelievably awesome. The seminars were phenomenal. There were so many of them, it was hard to cover them all. And I'm happy to say I didn't see anybody except like maybe 2 times, because we were all going in different directions trying to cover all the seminars and all the things that were happening there. I did do some networking with some small cities, and that was very, very informative. And one of the things that came out of that, and I'm happy to tell everybody this, is that we have everything in this little city that we need to be really, really successful. As I was discussing it with the other people in the seminars, we have the lake, we have the marina, the campground, we have the AstroTurf field for the kids. We have Go Glades, the little buses that come around, and that's a big thing across the country right now. Everybody is really working on that. We have a historic building that we could use, like the city manager said, for a museum. We have Surtax money to help us with all of our stuff. And one of the things that they talked about was the new trend in small cities is not to sell your properties, but to partner and joint venture and that kind of thing with people to create a revenue stream. And when I told the people in the other cities that we had a building that was 66,000 square foot, they were like, oh my goodness, that's fantastic. You should do something with that. So I was really excited when I came back, because I see the potential in Pahokee through somebody else's eyes. I mean, I think we all see it here in the city, but it was nice to see it through somebody else. They kept saying, wow, you've got this, wow, you've got that. And I came home and went, wow, yes, we do. So one of the themes that was there was leading together. And I hope that we can do that as the holidays come together, and we're thankful for everything that we have in our lives. That should be something that we all think about. Inclusivity, and I'm terrible at pronouncing that, but I thought that was a nice thing. It was a theme throughout the whole seminar of how to include everybody and think about how does everything affect everybody. So it was just a really, really phenomenal seminar, a convention, and San Antonio is a phenomenal city if you've never been there. They have a lot of things to offer. So I think we really should, maybe during the town hall meeting, some of the things that we can talk about are how we can create some of the things that they have on a smaller scale, but something we could possibly do here. And then last but not least, I'm going to put on my chamber hat and tell you the Christmas parade, again, is December 9th. So please, if y'all want to be in the Christmas parade, come to the chamber and get a copy of the application. City Hall will have a copy in there, and it's up on Facebook. So please come out and participate in the Christmas parade this year. It should be a lot of fun. December 9th, lineup's 4:30 in front of the high school, and it'll step off exactly at 6 o'clock. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Commissioner Everett.
Good evening and have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Murphy.
Just want to say have a happy holidays, eat a lot of turkey, a lot of dressing, and happy Thanksgiving to all.
I would like to divert everybody's attention to this clock up there. Less than 1 hour commission meeting. Great job. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Virginia, you say 9:30, lineup is at what time?